Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry I hit the wrong button again. My touch screen is not very much of a touch screen, so I'm going to blame it on the touch screen. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to be talking right now about how important graphite is to all media. In other words, if you're going to be quilting, if you're going to be doing graphic design, if you're going to be doing watercolors, oils, acrylics, pastels, everything, you need to learn how to deal with black and white first, okay? So it's really, really important for you guys to master drawing before you move on to something else, okay? So I'm going to really quickly take you through some of these things as well. Thank you for welcoming me back, Lavana and Boyd, and looks like Christina's here too. So thanks, you guys. I'm sorry, being blonde just wears me out sometimes. But anyway, so you can see what I did here is I actually worked out my drawing ahead of time in black and white so that it would be easy for me to solve this drawing equation in black and white first, and then when I switched to color, it was a lot easier because I'd already solved the drawing equation first by working in black and white. Okay, this doesn't want to work. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about whether or not you're dedicated to your art and whether you're really serious. Now, this is done by one of my students in the Atelier program, the Advanced Apprenticeship Program. And I'm actually going to just put this on pause for just a second. I hope I don't mess up again. I'm going to try to talk to you, hang on, about the Advanced Apprenticeship. Oh, I hope I don't mess up again. Hang on. I'm trying to, Betty, but the screen won't go up any further, so unfortunately that's the best I can do. Okay, so here I am back talking to you face to face, and I want to introduce the Advanced Apprentices. So we have, I'm going to go over like what the sequence is to go from zero to master, and the program that we take you through when you go from beginner to advanced. But basically you can start in Pencil Drawing College, which is grade 1, and that's where you start developing really strong skills in drawing, which is essential for all forms of art. And then some of the people that start there in Pencil Drawing College or Colored Pencil College, we will tap them on the shoulder and say, we see that you're serious, would you like to join the Advanced Apprenticeship Program? And so about, I think it was like maybe 20 people, well, I don't remember, it's either 10 or 20 people, joined the Advanced Apprenticeship last year, and I'm going to show you some of the really cool stuff and how they dramatically improved. And I'm going to show you how some of them were really, really weak when they started, and they went to incredible heights, like Teresa. And then I'm going to show you as well how some of them were really good to start with, but they really needed help. And so we took them from being good to great. So you can either go from bad to better or from good to great, but no matter where you are, there's always room for improvement. And so now I'm trying to scoot just a little closer to the screen so that you can see this better. I moved my chair, and oh, peanut butter stayed with me. Let me just see if I can move this monitor just a little bit more, because my tablet won't tilt any higher, so it's cutting off the top. So let me just see if I can move this and without losing Jelly, who is our class monitor. It's okay, just sit right there. There we go. Okay, let's see if that'll do the trick. All right, now I'm going to just hold your breath and let's hope my blondness goes away and I hit the right button. Please? Thank you. All right. Am I boring you, Jelly? She's going to go to sleep. Okay, so now we can see more of the top. So one of my students who was in the Advanced Atelier, she literally was working 2 jobs so that she could afford to be in the program. And she started out with pretty good skills. She's a huge cat lover like I am. And this is a couple of her kitties sleeping with her husband. They're from Germany. And this cat is just bonded at the hip to her husband. And so she did this delightful portrait at the very end of our program. But one of the reasons I wanted to show you her work is because she's so committed that she's willing to work 2 jobs and still fit in time to practice her drawing. So anybody who has an excuse, like, oh, I have to golf on Wednesdays or whatever, I have a tendency not to be real, sympathetic. If somebody's working 2 jobs and still fitting time in to do the drawing, the question is, how serious are you? Do you really want to become good at art? Or are you just a dabbler? Okay? So Inez in Germany is serious, and you can see that her amazing drawing that we did right at the end of the advanced apprenticeship program was just epic. And that was all because she learned to draw first, then she learned color pencil techniques, then she learned color theory techniques, and then they were allowed to do their own project, and this was her own project. Now, Anastasia is another good example. She's from Russia. She lives in the United States, but she was originally from Russia, and she is unbelievable. She has 2 little boys, and she lives here in San Diego. She's been in my classes for quite a while. Even when I was teaching in live workshops at the college, she was attending those. So she's pretty advanced. But she brought her little boys over to my house recently, and they're turbocharged. They're adorable. I mean, they make your fingers twitch because they're just so stinking cute. But being a mom of 2 turbocharged boys, you can imagine that it's hard for her to fit it in, but you know what? She does. Every night when she finally gets them to go to sleep, she goes into her bedroom, and bleary-eyed or not, she starts working on her drawings. And this is one of her little boys cuddling with his kitty and his favorite toy. I just think this is one of the most charming drawings I've ever seen. And that, by the way, that was her final performance in the advanced atelier. Okay, remember they started with pencil drawing first, learning graphite, then they learned color theory, then they learned color pencil, and then they were allowed to do their own project, and this was her own project. And then this is another project that she worked on when one of her sons was a little bit younger. And I included this because I wanted you to see how she was just like the masters in that she always did vignettes before she tackled the final drawing. And this is a mistake that a lot of beginners make, is they don't practice before they perform. It's kind of like saying to a football coach, I don't really want to practice. I'll just show up on game day and then I'll try to kick the ball and throw it and stuff like that. Well, no. Masters fill pages and pages of practice before they actually try the eyes on the performance sheet. And so here she was. She's not completely finished. I couldn't find the final one, but you can see that she practiced those eyes a bunch of times before she got them to the place where she felt like she could really put them into the drawing. And you can see that her talent is just going off the chart. She's really, really worked hard at that. And she's got 2 little boys. 2 little boys. So if you have an excuse for not finding time for your dream, just remember Anastasia and Inez. Inez working 2 jobs and fitting in her time for her drawing. And Stacy, full-time mom of 2 little boys and still squeezing drawing into her schedule, because both of these people really want to be successful. Okay? Now, this is Boyd's work, and this drawing wasn't completely finished, but I wanted to show you that he came to my program with really strong skills. Now, he was working on a photograph, but this is something that I noticed yesterday. He put up 2 drawings that were kind of, they were good drawings, but they didn't have strong values. And I could see that this was a chronic mistake for Boyd. He had just this lack of courage, and this is so common among beginners or even intermediate students, that they just don't have a wide enough range of darks. And so when I was coaching him, you can see that he made a big change in terms of the depth. Now this is a fantastic drawing. So even if you're really good, you can pick up tips like how to get better textures in the hair. It's what he was working on there. How to get that grizzly, 5 o'clock shadow on the face. How to make this shirt look like it has folds and dimensions. He hadn't figured out how to do that. And how to make the glasses look like they were shining. He hadn't figured that out. And here you can feel like they're shining. And so you can see that even if you're intermediate, you really can benefit from going back to grade 1 and just polishing up your skills. Going back to level 1 is a really good thing for you to do for yourself, because it's really going to benefit you, because once you go into color, you're going to use exactly these same textures with your pencils or your watercolor brush or your acrylic brush or your oil brush. You're going to use these same textures and you're going to use the same range of values, and you're not going to want it to be wimpy like this. Here he didn't even have the likeness, by the way. He had this way too fat, and then when we showed him to separate all those double chins, then he started getting the likeness a little better too. So even if you're intermediate or advanced, you still need that guidance from a master to get you to the next level, so that every time you sit down to draw, then you're not having that chronic issue. Which when I looked back yesterday at his earlier work, his drawing skills were good, but he was having that same problem. Lack of range of values, and then he finally conquered this once and for all in the Advanced Apprenticeship Program. So now, this is Teresa, who I'm so proud of. Teresa Clifton. She's not finished with the dog, but I just wanted to show you. I couldn't find the final one. But look at how realistic this little metal piece is on that collar. And look at how realistic those little brads are on the collar. And look at that eye. And look at how the texture of the dog's fur is so excellent. She just really made a huge quantum leap. And unfortunately, I couldn't find, when I was getting ready for today's lecture, I couldn't find her original, how she was drawing before. But trust me, she was way at the back of the line when she started. And for her to be this far is just epic. I'm so proud of her. It gives me goosebumps. And so congratulations to you, Teresa. No matter where you start, you can end up hanging out with the big guys. And then this is by my Lori Marie, who is just one of the most faithful. She has more gold stars than anybody else in any of our programs. She's already gotten, I think it might be 14. Lori, you might want to type in there how you're, how many gold stars you've gotten. I think it's 14. But anyway, she works so hard, and she's in there every day. She's there with every live lecture. She's there with every critique. She's there with everything. And this particular photo, I didn't put the photo in. It was kind of hard to work from. But she was able to ferret out the eyes. This is her beloved dog, Daphne, who is cuter than any dog you can imagine, except, of course, yours. But she's making tremendous progress on this dog and just enjoying every second, because drawing your own pet that you love is just an amazing experience. And look at how great she did with all these textures. Now, this was after she had taken the graphite pencil drawing college, and then she had taken color theory, and then she had taken color pencil, and now she was allowed to do her own project in black and white. Now she's been invited into the atelier, so she's going to get to do some of her own projects in color. This is from Junko, who is in Japan, one of my students who ended up in the Advanced Apprenticeship Program too. And she was really good when she started, because she's a decorative painter, and decorative painters tend to have really good fine motor skills, and they're also pretty good at color because they're used to working with color. So they tend to advance much faster than other beginners because they've had some background in it. But I just wanted to show you how incredible this was when she worked on this project of her granddaughter. You can see the shininess in that hair right there is just epic. I mean, on the forehead, by putting that shine that goes all the way around here, that little round halo that you'll see on the hair, that makes the face look super round. And look at how when you put these shadows, I mean, this skin is creamy soft, you know, like little babies and toddlers have, and very pudgy. But you see, we taught her to put darks down here even though in the photograph it wasn't there. And so we taught her how to put darks behind this so that that would make it look more pudgy, and how to put darks in the hands. I'm not going to put my cursor on it because it'll make this other stuff come up. But you can see all these little darks in her hands and in her fingers that made it look really, really pudgy. And so when you get to the place where you're allowed to go and work on your own photographs, then we help you go beyond the photo so that you can see that you don't always draw exactly what you see. You're going to make it better than the photo. Okay? And then once you've mastered black and white, it makes it easier to segue into working with black and white with colored pencils. And so in the Colored Pencil College, we teach you how to go from black and white and graphite to black and white with colored pencils. So it's not as complicated as it would be to go straight into color. This one is by Bruce McDonald, who's now in the mastermind group because he's so advanced. But he was horrible when he started, and I showed you his early work. And now he's just amazing. And then we segue with just a few elements of color. You can see I did this one in black and white with colored pencils, but then I added the colored eyes. And then this is one that Bruce did, one of his own projects, using that same, we have you do the technique and then you can try your own project with it as well. And so then and then David Dooley teaches you how to go a little beyond that. So this is a cat named Briar, and his wife Deborah wanted him to draw a portrait of the cat for Christmas just as a present. And so he drew that, and it's black and white with color added to it. And so we ended up doing this as a workshop because everybody loves it so much. But you can see you can kind of tiptoe towards color. So it's like you're gradually moving into colored pencil with black and white, and then you're gradually adding more color. And in this one, I actually added a full color dog, again tiptoeing from black and white into color. But the same textures that you're using for your black and white graphite renderings and your black and white colored pencil renderings are the same textures that you're going to be using when you move into color too. Now, I also wanted to show you a work from a famous master. This is an epic master that I am so, I admire her probably more than any graphite artist out there, unless it's maybe Joanne Ray, who I just, she's become phenomenal at graphite. But Carrie Ballantyne is a Western artist, and she uses graphite almost in a, you know, I feel like it's a photographic way. It's almost like painterly. And so you may not even want to move into color. I mean, you might just stay in black and white. Maybe that's going to be where your sweet spot is. And you can see that when you master the textures, you really can do some epic things with it. This is another one that Carrie Ballantyne did. She's a world-famous master, and I'm sure she fetches a very good price for her graphite renderings because she's built such a stellar reputation in graphite that she can command a high price now. And I think that's the end, yeah. Okay, so you can see that you can take graphite to the highest levels where you just end up working in black and white, or you can combine graphite, black and white and color, or you can segue into color. Tomorrow I'm going to show you a few more colored pencil renderings from our Colored Pencil College that'll show you how important it is to use the right values. I mean, even here, you can see that this value under the chin helps to separate the jowl from the neck. And if right here, this darker value separates the cheek from and whiskers from the mouth. And so we talked about a couple of days ago how important values are. And when you master values in black and white, then when you segue into color, you're also going to be using values. See how the value on this side of the nose is really important? And that makes the nose stand out. And then this gradual change in value from dark to light really makes that nose feel dimensional, okay? And so when you move into color, you're going to be using the same concepts. You're going to be dealing with line, shape, value, texture, and color. And these techniques, these shading techniques of all these strokes that you learned when you were in black and white are the same kind of strokes you're going to be using when you move into colored pencil or watercolor or oils or acrylics or pastels, or airbrush. Whatever medium you move into, you're going to use the line, shape, value, textures that you learned in grades 1 and 2 when you were studying graphite. Okay, so that concludes today's lesson. And now I'm going to move, oh no, I'm sorry, there's one more thing. I wanted to show you Joanne's work because I just admire her probably more than just about anybody that I can think of. And she started out with strong drawing skills. And I show this because I want those of you who know that you're already strong to know that there's always room for improvement, and that if you go back and you have the discipline of, refining your skills, you can see phenomenal results. I'm just going to go this way really quick and show you something here. That this is a drawing that she did at the beginning of her pencil drawing college, where we were doing portraits. And you can see it's a really strong drawing. Jelly, you could get out of the way now. How about if you go over here? Want to come over here? Yeah, come on, over here. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, you can see this well enough, I think. But this is Joanne's before drawing, and then look at how subtle just learning a few little things can perfect your drawing, even if you're really strong. This is really strong, but she didn't have enough depth right here by the cheek, and so we showed her that when you have a light value, it's important to put dark behind it. And that doesn't mean the whole drawing has to be dark, but it needs to sneak up and snuggle next to the cheek so that you're getting that stronger value. And the same goes for writing here. She needed a stronger value under that chin to make that come forward too. And she needed a stronger value right here to make that head look like, the forehead look like it had dimension. And then she was struggling with the texture of the hair. It wasn't that bad, but when we showed her how to do better texture, this looked more like baby hair. And even the eyes, they were okay, but they weren't amazing. But look at how they sparkle here, because she learned some really cool techniques for doing eyes. And so you can just see that even though she started out pretty strong, by just getting a few tips from the master, she really grew exponentially. And so she was able to go on to draw her granddaughters. Her granddaughters are so beautiful. She's lucky that she has amazing models, and she did this phenomenal drawing of them, which she's working on in color now. And you can see she's always been a little intimidated by hair, but look at this hair. I mean, it is so realistic you can't even believe it. And that's not easy hair to draw. And she managed to tackle both the curly hair and the straight hair. And then she got the folds are just phenomenal, and the likeness is exact. I mean, this looks exactly like her granddaughters. And this was all from going through a series of, the pencil drawing, the portrait classes, then working on color theory, working on composition, being invited into the apprenticeship program, then being invited into the atelier. And then she landed this commission of a dog, and the photo for this dog was the worst photo I've ever seen. And I told her, don't take it, because it's too hard to draw. But she's tenacious, and she's got a, little stubborn streak in her, and she pulled it off. I'm telling you what. See, the dog was dead, so they wanted to draw their deceased pet. And so I actually helped her decide the right paper, and then I helped her struggle through trying to figure out how to draw this, because there was so little information in the photograph. And then I also suggested that she add this rug. So by me helping her come up with a composition that's a little more dramatic, in the photo it was just the dog. But by adding this rug and understanding one-point perspective, she was able to really jazz it up. And you can see she used colors that matched the tongue. And it's just an epic piece. And they cried when they got it. It was so beautiful. And you can see now her work is just, I mean, it's museum quality. It could hang in museums. This is a portrait she did of my cousin Becky. I took Becky to the wild animal park, or it's called the safari park now. And we went there for her birthday, and she convinced me to buy these panda hats, and she didn't take it off for probably another month. She loved it so much. But Joanne caught all those little ribs in that. See how she had learned to put white at the edges so that that would come forward, and put a dark behind this so that this would bend and come forward too. And look at how she did the wicker. You know, she put dark at both edges and light in the middle. Here's dark at both edges and light in the middle. That makes it feel like it's bending over the wicker that's under it. And she made the wicker darker here because it was in shadow. And then the same, she made it darker there because it was in shadow. And by putting a strong shadow behind this hat, it really makes it pop forward. And look at the texture. I mean, you could never tell that she used to struggle with hair. But look at the texture on that, and the sparkle in the eye, and the softness of the skin. I mean, this is why I compared her to Carrie Ballantyne. She's a master. She's ready to sell her work on a large scale. And then she ended up contributing to this program. We were raising funds to reunite soldiers with the dogs and cats that they had fallen in love with when they were in the war zone. Because you can't leave your companion behind, but that's what a lot of them had to do. So this organization grew up to, reunite soldiers with their kitties. And this is a little kitty named Mousetrap. And we were able to raise enough funds with our drawings and our book that teaches you how to draw kitties that we were able to raise enough funds for Mousetrap to be reunited with this soldier. This is one of my favorite drawings that Joanne has done, and this one is called War and Peace. And you can see it's just epic. And here she is, on the cover of a book. I mean, that's a huge credential and very prestigious. And then you can see when she segued into color, she took her black and white skills, and then she added just a touch of color here with the kitten. So everything was in black and white, and then she just added a teensy little bit of color with the kitten. So you can get into color as much as you want, or as little as you want, or whatever, but having those skills on how to do those textures in black and white first, developing those skills when there's only 12 pencils involved, 12 graphite pencils, it's just much easier to learn at that level. And I think this one was called Tough and Tender. I mean, I love her titles as much as I love her work. She's just so gifted. And then you can see she also, segued into from black and white graphite into black and white with colored pencils. And you can see her website is called JoanneRayPortraits.com. So you could go there and see more of her work. Her work is just ridiculously epic. And again, she made it on the cover of another book because her work is so stunning. Her work has been featured in international webinars. She's been featured on the cover of books. She's been featured in books. She's landed commissions for thousands of dollars. And all this in a really short amount of time, relatively short amount of time, just by taking an apprenticeship program and then jumping into the atelier where the master could tell her what she was doing wrong, and her stuff just became epic. And you can see how she learned to put darks behind lights. So that dog comes forward much more than if this was completely in white like it is on the paper. And even over here she added a little bit of shadow just to get that contrast to help the dog come forward. This is one of the ones that she did of my cousin. My cousin's father, this was he has 9 kids, and this was the first daughter to get married, so nobody was good enough. You know how that goes. And so the poor boy who wanted to marry her really had a hard time. And finally, on the wedding, her father gave his approval in the wedding dance, and so this is a really cool piece. Oh, Regina, yeah, Regina, you mentioned that you were in the military, didn't you? You were in the Air Force, I think it was. And so good for you. And then we support the military. They are just wonderful. They make all the difference in the world for us. So thank you for your service, Regina. Hi, Junko. We're glad you're watching from Japan. I hope you got to see the photo, the drawing. It's almost like a photo, the drawing that you did of your granddaughter. I was bragging about you just a little bit earlier. And then you can see she went from weak skills to a little better, and then she kept getting better and better and better. So I just wanted to encourage those of you who are a little bit more advanced to not be shy about putting your work, about joining an apprenticeship program, because you really need to, it's funny how just that little last thing that you put in your artwork can make the difference between good and great. I mean, just the tiniest little things that you put in there can just be ridiculously amazing. So I just want to go in here really quick and show Junko. Junko, we were bragging about you. Let's see, where is it? There it is. This is by Junko. She's here from Japan. I don't know what time it is in Japan right now, but she joined us live right now. And so I just want to brag about her and show. I don't think the bib was finished here, but just an epic drawing of your granddaughter. So congratulations. Okay, so I'm going to try to go back to my original spot without turning off the TV. And so let's see if I can make it over there if my blondness doesn't show up. And then rather than answering your comments about that you made, I'll look at them really quick. Actually, let me look at them really quick right now. Just to see if there's anything that needs answer. Yes, you're right, Regina. Joanne's work looks like a photo. Thank you for the compliment on my blouse. Betty. Betty's back. Okay, I think that was all the people who were commenting, not any questions. So we're going to go back over here and try and see if I can do this without shutting it off. So here we go. Please work. I think it worked. It did. Yay. Okay. I've won Emmys for some of my video work, so it's kind of embarrassing to me to put these awkward videos where I'm hitting the wrong buttons and, you know, bumping across the room. But we're live, and when you're live, that's the way it goes. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up today's lessons. I'm going to wrap up what we talked about in terms of motivation. So the conclusion was that you have to change who you think you are before other people will change who they think you are. I mean, if you walk up to somebody and you say, I have a piece of art and I worked a long time on it and I want to show it to you. Or if you come up to people and you say, I just finished a piece of art. You can't believe it. I worked so hard on this and I am going to show it to you. You know, just that mindset of the difference between, you know, your confidence and believing in yourself. And, you know, it takes a while. I still get insecure. I mean, I have credentials out the yin-yang, and I still get insecure some days. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. Artists have a tendency to be insecure. It's the way we are. And it's okay to be a little bit insecure, but just know this. You need to start thinking of yourself as a professional. And you need to think, if you're in an apprenticeship program, that you're in a training program. And that you are, you know, working towards building your career, whether it's a career where you're going to sell stuff or whether it's a career where you're just going to leave a legacy for your family and friends. Whatever your intention, you want to have that, build that self-image that believes in what you can become, and you need to expect more. And then I went over there today. I saw somebody said that they enjoyed today's lesson. Thank you for the compliment. I always appreciate gratitude. And I showed you why graphite is so important. I mean, it's really hard, honestly, to get people to sign up for something like a drawing class because they just want to jump into colored pencil or watercolor, or oils, or acrylics. But if you don't do that, if you don't go back and pick up those basics and just take 4 weeks, take 4 weeks out of your life, 1 month, and pour yourself into really mastering those things that you're missing. Like Boyd, when he went from, he was strong at drawing, but he really didn't get it when it came to values. And so he poured himself into that, and boom, now he doesn't have that problem. He goes in there with that 9B and he punches up the values because he knows to do it. So if you're willing to invest, go back and just go to level 1 and pick up the stuff that you missed, it's going to show up in your work. And that's why I showed you progress from people who were wimpy when they started and people who were amazing when they started. And so that way you can see that whatever level you're at, picking up those basic skills is really important. And now I'm going to give you your homework. And one of the things that I want you to do is I put up a questionnaire today. And the questionnaire was, I can't remember the exact questions, but it was something like, where are you from? Because we want to know where everybody's from. We know that we have people here from Romania and from Gibraltar and from Japan and Germany and all over the U.S. and so forth. We have people from all over the world here. So we want to know where you're from, and then we want to know, like, what level are you functioning at? Are you an intermediate? Are you advanced? Are you just getting started? And then we want to know, what's your favorite medium? What do you want to work in? What are your ultimate goals in drawing as well? And then I also have an album posted under photos, where you go to photos and then you go to albums, where you can put work that you want critiqued. And so tomorrow, hopefully I'll be live in this studio and not at the ranch, because the ranch has terrible internet. I don't know if I'll make it back in time, but I'm pretty sure I'll be here by 7:30. So put your bad art up there so that we can talk about where you can improve, because everybody learns when we do critiques, and we'll be gentle. I promise we'll be gentle. I don't believe in making people feel humiliated, because I know what it feels like to be humiliated by people. It's not fun and it's not nice. So we will be gentle. We'll tell you what you did right, and we'll tell you what you can do to improve. So I just want to encourage you today to not settle. Don't settle for less than your best. I was reminded of this verse that my dad had me memorize when I got a B. I was a straight A student, and so my dad always expected me to come home with A's, and one time I came home with a B because I did not like biology. And he made me memorize this verse, and it's, study to show yourself approved of God, a workman who needs not to be ashamed. And he was basically saying, you have more capability. Don't settle. My sister would come home with B's and C's, and they'd have a party. But if I came home with a B, I'd get, a lecture, because he knew that I had more to give, and he didn't want me to settle. He wanted me to be my very best. And I believe that our Father in heaven wants us to be our very best too. He's going to ask us, this is my personal belief, is because there's a verse in the Bible that says someday he's going to ask us to give an account of everything that we did. Some of us he gave 1 talent, some he gave 5 talents, and some he gave 10 talents. And so he wants you to cultivate those talents and become the best that you can be, because someday he's going to ask you, what did you do with what I gave you? And you can either say, well, I was too busy raising kids, or I had to work 2 jobs, or I needed to golf every day, or play Parcheesi, or play games with friends on my laptop, and he's going to say, really? Really, that's what you did with the talent that I gave you. So I would really encourage you to expect more of yourself and to go for the gold, because it's so exciting. When you go down this path, hard work is underrated. Hard work is so satisfying and so rewarding, because when you finally get to that finish line, it just feels so good. And so I'm always encouraging people to be the very best that they can be and to go for the gold. And then to remember that your dreams can come true. I'm talking to Robert right now, and we're trying to get the Veterans Administration to pay for his atelier. And I worked with a guy in the Veterans Administrations when I went through PTSD therapy because of the fire. I was so traumatized by it that I got a call one day from a guy that said they were doing research on the fire victims. Could I come to this PTSD therapy? And it really worked. It was just excellent. So I'm going to try to get a hold of him and see if we can get the VA to approve Robert's atelier. But Robert is he's just champing at the bit. He's 70, and he's wanted to be an artist since he was a little boy, and he got sidetracked into the military with the draft, and then he, ended up being a pilot, and his career just went on, and now it's like, I want to be what I wanted always to be. I'm going to make it happen. And so that's what I want to hear from you. I want you to believe. And Robert, it's true. There will be miracles. There will be miracles. I'll see you tomorrow.